For 9 years, I had imagined what it would feel like to see my family again. Sometimes I pictured my mother running toward me with tears in her eyes. Sometimes I imagined my father silently admitting that he had been wrong. And sometimes when I was angry enough, I imagined walking past them without giving them a second glance. But I never imagined that our reunion would happen at my sister's wedding 9 years earlier. I had stood outside my parents' beautiful house with a suitcase in my hand, watching the people I love most turn their backs on me. My family was respected everywhere we went. Both of my parents were doctors. My older sister Emma was studying medicine. And everyone expected me to follow the same path. In our family, being a doctor wasn't simply a career. It was almost a family religion. My father used to say our name means something. We have spent decades building it. I understood what he meant, but I had never felt that medicine was my calling. I wanted to become a teacher. When I finally told my parents that I had been accepted into a university's education program, my father stared at me as though I had confessed to committing a crime. "A teacher?" he asked. "Yes," I said quietly. "I want to teach children." My mother shook her head. "After everything we sacrificed for you." I tried to explain that I respected their careers. I loved them. I simply wanted a different life. But they wouldn't listen. The argument became worse over the next few weeks. My father accused me of embarrassing the family. My mother told relatives that I had become selfish and ungrateful. Then one evening my father gave me an ultimatum. "Either you enroll in medical school," he said, "or you leave this house." I looked at him hoping he would change his mind. He didn't, so I packed my things. I remember my mother standing near the staircase. As I walked toward the door, she didn't stop me. That was the moment I realized I was truly on my own. The first few years were incredibly difficult. I worked part-time jobs while studying. I lived in a tiny apartment and sometimes counted every coin before buying groceries. There were nights when I cried because I missed my family. But I kept going eventually. I became a teacher and something unexpected happened. I discovered that I was good at it. My students loved my classes. Parents began requesting that their children be placed in my classroom. Within a few years, I was promoted to become the coordinator of an educational program that provided free tutoring to children from low-income families. I wasn't wealthy. I wasn't famous, but I was proud of what I had built. Meanwhile, I heard occasional news about my family through relatives. My sister had become a successful doctor. My father had opened another medical clinic. My mother was still respected in the community. They seemed to have everything except me. For 9 years, there was almost no contact. Birthdays passed without calls. Holidays came and went without messages. At first, I hoped they would reach out. Eventually, I stopped waiting. Then one afternoon, I received an invitation. It was my sister's wedding. I stared at the envelope for several minutes. Part of me wanted to throw it away. Another part of me wanted to go simply because I wanted to see my sister. In the end, I accepted. The wedding was enormous. Hundreds of guests filled the elegant venue. Doctors, lawyers, businessmen, professors, and family friends were everywhere. Then I saw them. My father stood near the entrance greeting guests. My mother was beside him for a moment. Everything around me seemed to disappear. 9 years vanished. I suddenly felt like the frightened young person, standing outside their house with a suitcase again. My mother noticed me first. Her expression changed instantly. She whispered something to my father. He turned. Our eyes met. He didn't smile, neither did I. I walked inside anyway. My sister saw me about 20 minutes later. She froze, then she ran toward me. She hugged me so tightly that I could barely breathe. "I can't believe you came," she whispered. "I wouldn't miss your wedding," I replied for the first time in 9 years. I felt like I had a sister again, but the happiness didn't last long. My mother approached us. She looked at me from head to toe, then she said something I will never forget. "My daughter, after all these years, you finally decided to come back." I looked at her. I came for my sister. Her expression hardened. "You know your father is still hurt." I almost laughed. "Your father told me to leave." He was angry. He had 9 years to stop being angry. Silence fell between us. Then my mother leaned closer and said, "You have no idea what happened after you left." I stared at her. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, my father walked over. He looked older than I remembered. His hair had turned gray, his voice was quieter. "Your mother is right," he said. "There are things you need to know." My heart began racing. What things? My father looked around to make sure no one was listening. "Come with us." We walked into a quiet room away from the wedding guests. My mother closed the door. Then my father sat down. "When you left, he said we thought you would come back within a few weeks." I said nothing. "We expected you to realize that you had made a mistake." My mother lowered her eyes. "But you didn't know." I replied. My father took a deep breath. "Your sister knew what we had done was wrong." I looked at my mother. She finally spoke. "She wanted to visit you." My eyes widened. "She did." My mother nodded. "She asked us for your address. We refused. My sister had tried to find me." That revelation hurt more than I expected. "Why?" I asked. My mother began crying. "Because we were proud." Too proud. My father looked at me. I thought I was protecting the family name. I believed that if I admitted I was wrong, I would lose authority. I couldn't speak. Then my mother reached into her purse and pulled out a small envelope. She handed it to me. Inside were 9 birthday cards. None had been sent. All were addressed to me. My mother's handwriting was on everyone. "I wrote them every year," she whispered. I just never had the courage to send them. My hands trembled. I looked at the cards. 9 years of words that had never reached me. Then my father said something that completely changed the way I saw him. I was wrong. Those 3 words were harder for him to say than any apology I had ever heard. "I should never have forced you to become someone you weren't." He continued. "You wanted to teach. You wanted to help children. And instead of being proud of you, I treated your dream like an embarrassment." I started crying, not because everything was suddenly fixed. It wasn't 9 years couldn't disappear in one conversation. But for the first time, my father was finally seeing me not as a failed doctor. Not as a disappointment, but as his daughter. My sister's wedding continued. Outside, music filled the hall. People laughed and celebrated. Eventually, my mother took my hand. "Will you forgive us?" I looked at her. "I don't know if I can forgive everything today." She nodded through her tears. But I continued. "I don't want to spend another 9 years hating you." My father stood up. He hugged me. It was the first time he had hugged me since I left. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Later that evening, my sister found me outside. "You're staying, right?"
she asked. I smiled.
"I'll stay for the wedding." She laughed. "No. I mean after tonight." I looked toward my parents. They were standing together across the room. "I don't know," I said. "But maybe we can start with one conversation." My sister smiled. "That's enough." The next morning, I returned home to my small apartment. Nothing magical had happened. My parents hadn't suddenly become different people. Our relationship wasn't repaired overnight. But something had changed. A door that had been closed for 9 years was finally open. Over the following months, my parents slowly became part of my life again. My father visited my school. He watched me teach a class. Afterward, he looked at me with tears in his eyes. "I finally understand," he said. "Understand what you didn't choose, a smaller life." He smiled. "You chose your own life." That sentence meant more to me than any apology. Because sometimes family hurts us, not because they don't love us, but because they confuse their dreams for our dreams. My parents thought they were protecting my future. Instead, they almost destroyed our relationship. But I learned something too. Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending the pain never happened. It means refusing to let the pain control the rest of your life. 9 years ago, my family disowned me because I refused to become a doctor. 9 years later, at my sister's wedding, my mother finally told me the truth. And the truth was simple. They had never stopped loving me. They had simply been too proud to admit they were wrong. Sometimes, the people who hurt us need time to understand what they have lost. And sometimes when they finally return, We have to decide whether we want revenge or whether we want peace. I chose peace not because they deserved an easy forgiveness, but because after 9 years I deserved to be free.